Hey, what's up guys? Did you hear about the farmer that advertised his farm as Fizbo? He showed it to a prospective buyer, and as they walked along the fence line, the buyer saw beehives and stopped. He said, "Those hives are pretty close to the road." And the farmer explained that the bees just made honey and have never stung anyone. So the buyer felt unsure, so he proposed that he be tied to a nearby tree naked overnight. And if he was stung just once, he would get the farm for free. But if he wasn't stung, then he would have to pay the farmer double the price. The farmer agreed and tied the naked man to the tree. And then the next morning, the farmer saw the man leaning over, very pale and in pain. "Oh no," the farmer thought, "he got stung and now I have to give him my farm." And as he reached the man, he gently shook him and asked where he got stung and if he needed a doctor. No, I didn't get stung," the man said, "so I guess I have no choice, do I? I have to pay you double for the farm. But before I do, I have to know, doesn't that calf have a mother?" Buyers are doing some crazy shit in this market, aren't they? Well, you guys, look, for a while now, every time I've asked a real estate salesperson how things are going, I've gotten the same basic response, and I bet you can guess what it is. It sounds like this. "Things are great, but oh my God, the market is insane. There's no inventory and everything is selling way over list price and with multiple offers, and buyers are getting really stressed out and acting crazy." Sound familiar? Now listen, there's no doubt that buyers are feeling extra pressure, but from my point of view, agents that are making statements like that are just as stressed and acting just as crazy. So in today's lesson, we're going to fix it for good. And I know that's a big promise, so listen up because I got your back. Recently, in a private coaching session with a real estate team in Austin, Texas, I observed this narrative had taken hold and was causing problems with production. And I'm sure I don't have to convince you that when a service professional is stressed out and under pressure, standards fall away and mistakes get made that cause prospects to be lost and deals to fall apart. Or worse, clients that do make it to closing feel both the stress in their own minds and that of the professional who's supposed to be there to remain calm and guide them. So how do you work with buyers in an extreme seller's market and maintain your sanity? Well, you do it by gaining some perspective, by dropping limiting beliefs, and by changing the story you keep telling yourself. And we'll tackle all three of those right now. So first, some perspective. Don't be offended when I say this, you guys, but if you've been in real estate for 10 to 12 years, it may seem like you've got a ton of experience. And in one sense you do, but it's only one kind of market, a seller's market. So basically, if you got into the business after the Great Recession, a buyer's market is likely only something you've read about. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, but it does mean that it's easy for you to make assumptions about how people behave in the market. And those assumptions, when repeated amongst your industry friends, create a narrative that over time becomes a limiting belief. For example, take the limiting belief, everything is selling way over list price. Now, if you say that, can you back it up with data? Or are you making an assumption about the entire market based only on what you've observed and repeated in your mind? So let's go back to my coaching group. Out of curiosity, we looked at the data to see what was really happening. And you know what we found? Homes were in fact selling for higher than list price, 103.23% of list price on average, and the median was 101%. Wait, what? That doesn't sound nearly as dramatic as the stories I'm hearing. So on average, you're telling me buyers are paying what sellers are asking or just slightly above? I mean, that sounds pretty normal to me. Now, there are especially competitive pockets of Austin because of location or schools, but again, here's where perspective helps. That's always the case in every kind of market and in every city. But the data shows that it just isn't true that everything sells for a ton more than list price. So what about there being no inventory? Well, that's just not true either. If we stay with Austin as our example, every month there are a lot of sold listings to be found in the MLS. Just because there are a ton of buyers to absorb those listings doesn't mean there aren't any to begin with. But complaining that it's a competitive market doesn't help anyone. Fighting what is only makes things unnecessarily difficult. And again, some perspective will help. One day you'll see this reverse. Agents around you will complain about there being too many listings and not enough buyers. And when we get to that kind of market, it also won't help to fight against what is. The market is what it is, and no one person can control it. If you want to have some peace in your life, you'll have to learn to stop labeling some markets as good and others as bad. Labels like buyer's or seller's market simply indicate what is, and you can make good money in every market. That means for you, every market can be good if you don't fight it. But Jason, buyers are stressed out and acting crazy. The last time someone said that to me, I asked them to explain. What I was told is that buyers see a new listing pop up and they demand the agent drop everything and show it to them immediately because there'll be 100 offers in the next hour. But once they get inside the house, they want to ask a million questions and then go think about it. Now, don't get mad at me, but once again, we need some perspective here. When I started in real estate, the average days on market was 93. And when a new listing came up, buyers wanted me to drop everything and show it to them only to tell me they needed to think about it after they'd seen it. So you have to know, buyers aren't behaving any differently than they always have. Once a buyer gets what they want to see inside the house, you should just expect them to pump the brakes. It's human nature, and it's why you need to be calm enough to lean on your salesmanship skills in moments like that. Okay, so it's not true that everything sells for way over list. It's not true that there's no inventory, and it's also not true that buyers are all of a sudden being extra demanding. What is happening is that current market conditions are making it easy to buy into limiting beliefs and exaggerating behavior that's always been there. It's kind of like when a person becomes famous. If they seem like a jerk, it's not the fame, but more likely the fame is exaggerating the fact that they were a jerk all along. And so if you're following my thinking here, here's what I want you to do to regain control of the narrative and drop some limiting beliefs. When you catch yourself fighting the market and having thoughts or making statements like there's no inventory, finish it with, and that's the way I want it. And then go pick up a book like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, because you guys, thoughts are things, and you get what you think about whether you want it or not. Now I get it, it's far easier to join the chorus and bitch about the market, but if you do that, you're only going to manifest a future that you do not want. To live the life of a top producer, you have to rise above that and care enough about your own thoughts that you take responsibility for them. And by the way, fully 1/3 of my book, The Top Producer Life, helps you with your mindset, and it does so specifically in the context of a real estate career. It's one of the 3 business macros I cover, and if you add that to Think and Grow Rich, you'll be unstoppable. Okay guys, so no more complaining about the market, got it? And repeat after me. There are homes to be found, buyers are paying fair prices, and they're behaving just as they always do, and that's the way I want it. Thanks for watching this week, you guys. Now get out there and build your top producer life.